been great. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, I had, my own theories about what it was going to be like getting drafted, but you never really know for sure until you actually step foot here. And, I got here from the first day back in the summer, and I was just super excited about it. And I met a lot of cool faces. And the one thing I will say I was kind of nervous about is just, like, entering a whole new world outside of high school. Like, with high school, I knew people from around my town. I knew all these people. In travel baseball, like, you meet these new guys, and you're kind of hoping everyone just gets along real well. And when I got here, like the second day, like the first day didn't really see anybody, I was in quarantine, but the next time I was out of quarantine, everybody here is just like super nice. Like everybody in my draft class was like super approachable, good guys, and then the guys that are already here, super cool dudes. There's no egos, nobody thinks they're better than one another, and it actually does have like a lot of like that family vibe, and everyone's pulling on the same side of the rope, so it's really cool. But coming down here, working out in a professional weight room and doing things that I feel, I used to watch as a kid in documentaries, bunch of different players like do the things that I'm doing now. It's really cool experience to kind of create my own story in this awesome facility.
What's an example of that? Something that you might have seen before, like a player you saw doing something that now you're like, oh yeah, this is me now.
Well, I remember seeing the Dark Knight documentary, the E60 on Matt Harvey.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing him like in the professional like Mets weight room, and he was doing like the trap bar deadlifts and everything. And I was like, oh wow, weight room looks sick. And then I come here to Florida, and I'm like, oh wow, we have the really cool weight room too. So I've been doing some cool stuff here.
That's neat. What is kind of the bond like between the draft class, especially? You guys kind of come into this at the same time. What's sort of that vibe like?
I mean, if we're talking just strictly the draft class, I mean, for me, it was crazy. Like, it was actually insane because it's just like I met all these people for the first time, and you would have thought we've all known each other for our whole lives. Everyone's super cool. Everyone's super accepting. Everyone's from different like parts of the country, and it doesn't even matter. It's like almost like we've been playing ball together since we were 5 years old, and it's just like a normal group, The hitters and the pitchers, we all get along just fine. I mean, like I met Owen and Bubba's a two-way guy, and everyone's just super cool. And then Lonnie, Braylon, AJ, everybody, they're all great. And then, like, there wasn't even a separation or like segregation between like high school and college. Like everybody was just so accepting of one another. There's a lot of college pitchers here that are super cool dudes, and also with like college position players, everyone's just really cool. And we all kind of talk about our backgrounds and just. It's interesting to, like, for me, it's interesting to hear all the accents, too. It's really cool. Like, Bubba and Brendan Dixon really got some thick country accents on them, and it's just really cool. And they make fun of me, say I have an accent. I don't really hear it, but it's just cool. Everyone's cool with different parts, so it's pretty sick.
You don't have an accent?
I don't think so. I don't know, but they always say, too.
I can't remember if it was Lonnie or Braylon who said, guys, you getting to know one another. He's like, yeah, I got you last time, then you gotta.
Yeah, that was Braylon.
That was Braylon.
He was going around the facility talking about that, and he brought it up to one of the trainers here, Corey, and I remember coming up to him, and I was like, I'm going to get my revenge, Braylon. Like, I was like, hold on to that one moment. It's the last moment you'll ever have.
That sounds like a threat. Does that kind of extend away from the field as well? Like guys hanging out and stuff like that away from
Yeah,
baseball?
so cool. I mean, like, for me, I guess, like, for me, Bubba, especially, like, Henry was, like, he's a first-round pick. He's a man who, for, like, a lack of a better way to describe him, he's a man who definitely has his stuff in order. He's somewhat, like, militant in a sense, not where it's, like, overbearing, but it's somebody that you can, like, look at who's truly smart and knowledgeable, but, like, knows to do the right things. He's one of those people that you just, like, naturally get that good vibe from, and, there's been a lot of, like, line of people in all sports where people get drafted first overall or first round, and unfortunately I have this story of like what happened to them. But when talking with Henry Davis and meeting Henry Davis for the first time, it was like you instantly got the vibe of like that's not the case with Henry. Me, Bubba, and Henry actually all got an apartment together, which is really cool. Definitely interesting vibe there together because I'm kind of like the middle man between Bubba and Henry, so it's a really interesting relationship. Kind of deserves a sitcom if you were there with us 24/7. But everyone's great. It's awesome.
The middleman. So what is like Bubba the goofball and Henry's kind of the dad of the
Bubba's
group?
definitely
Like what's the dynamic there?
Out of the box personality, and then Henry, I guess, is pretty much the father of all of us. And then Bubba can be messy. I can be messy too, but I clean up after myself. Bubba can be messy, and then Henry's like throwing all the cleaning supplies at Bubba so make sure he cleans up after himself. But it's an interesting household, but it's a good time.
Nice.
What's it like throwing to Henry?
I actually have only had a catch with Henry, like once or twice, but he was actually out of here before I started throwing bullpen, so I actually have not had the pleasure to work with him yet, but I know that I'll be coming back down here in January with him, and we'll be here maybe the 4th, I think, and I'm excited to throw bullpens to him because he definitely knows what he's doing back there, and I'm excited for one day to throw to him and have him throw somebody out at second for me, so that'd be great.
Anthony, what have you been focusing on this camp Like, what group have you been in, and what do you?
So I'm in the general group, so it's like general/rehab, and so like, there's a couple guys here that are rehabbing from injuries and all that, but there's other dudes like including myself. It's more like the first year players and second year. So like Quinn's in my group, I'm in my group, Bubba's in my group, Owen Kellington's in my group for guys. I mean Quinn's not relatively new, but I mean Quinn, he's a different story. He's Quinn, but Bubba and Owen and me, we're all like first year players, and Hopper pretty much explained to us that, you know, he hasn't really seen us pitch in like a whole season to really know what we should be working on, what we should emphasize. So he's just had us here this way we can kind of just do like variation drills when it comes to like different parts. Kind of we use our own mindset to kind of discuss and decipher what we need to fix. So that's been great. I mean, we've been working with our main coach is David. He does a great job here. So we've been doing a lot of variation drills and all that. But for me personally, like in the off season before I came back here, I was working on a lot of stuff. I'm just like building on my body strength wise, making sure I had a good base for myself to withstand the changes in the long seasons that was gonna be coming up for myself. For me, I kind of used this as like almost like a checkup to see how that worked, and I've been really not surprised, but I've been really pleasantly surprised with the results I've seen from my all-season work, and I can tell that I've gotten much stronger and I'm able to stabilize and do things a lot better. And Hopper even came up to me and said to himself that there's some stuff that we're working on in the summer that he could tell that I've been working on, which was, you know, the best thing you can possibly hear. And obviously, I'm nowhere close to perfect, and you know, but I'm trying to do everything I can to, you know, achieve that goal one day in due time.
How much of that improvement is, you know, you feel better, and how much of it is maybe you see, you know, something different on the Rapsodo report?
For right now, it's like we haven't done anything with Rapsodo, so for me, it's just you know, it's based off how I feel, what other people's eyes see. And I mean, for me, like we were talking about the other day in a meeting we had, we do these meetings that are more about the mental side of the game. And he, our director of it, his name's Bernie Holiday. He was telling us, you know, what's one word to describe when everything is like perfect for you. And people had words like smooth and all that, but for me, I've said this before, it's just weightless. And for me, you know, I've had that weightless feeling a lot more consistently than I have in, you know, years past, and it's just a great feeling and almost like a great little foreshadow in a sense for what's to come. So,
what have you learned, kind of the mental side of the game? Some people say that's a big transition coming into pro ball.
For me, it's just kind of, I think I've always had a good head on my shoulders. I think I've always known how to handle pressure in a lot of different situations. But the one thing I will say is that when I first got here, I thought it was going to be like, you got to work. And talking to some of the guys here that are, you know, rehabbing, you know, for example, I've talked to this one guy here, Aaron Shortridge, great guy, great baseball mind, definitely knows what he's talking about. He was telling me that what led to him getting hurt was that he, you know, went home and was like, I need to like, you know, work harder. I need to, you know, work himself. And he said he put on like 5 miles per hour, but he said the way he went about it wasn't the proper way. And he realized that everyone's got to figure out the proper amount of workload for themselves along with rest to be, you know, the most successful recipe. And he said that's what kind of led him to be hurt. So I came in here and I came looking around, and these guys obviously have years on me, but everyone's kind of like, they're just like built different and they're stronger looking dudes. And I was like, all right, well, I need to get in the gym and start pumping more. But then like after talking to Aaron, I realized it's just what's best for me. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, you just gotta be simple about it. And like I thought, okay, well, you know, I'm just gonna eat so much food, which is great, but you gotta make sure you're eating the right food. And it's just it's just a whole different world of kind of understanding like where one way isn't always the best way. You just got to make things that you can pick apart from other people and picking up other people's brains and then make that your best recipe, which is what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to piecemeal together Anthony Solometo's best recipe.
Has there been any change whatsoever to your mechanics?
No, not really. I mean, I think we've done like slight stuff, but nothing dramatic. It's done things to kind of make things more fluent for me and things that will only benefit me relatively, and no dramatic changes to the appearance of anything.
What was the best reaction to anyone who saw that windup?
It's definitely, I mean, it's been a lot of cool reactions. There's a lot of people like, whoa, or like people like, what is that? Like some confusion when people see me throw. But yeah, it's kind of like a lot of different, like, how does that even work? How's your arm not fall off? Stuff like that. But it's just funny. It's mostly funny reactions to it, but it's me.
Who's more strange, you or Cruz? Have you seen him throw?
Yeah, he does. It's pretty weird.
It's weird.
But I like it though. I mean, I like fun. That's who we are. I mean, I think we're both equal in that sense. But I mean, we got to stick together, you know?
What stands out to you about Priester? You said he's Quinn. There's always a story about that when somebody describes somebody else that way.
Well, I mean, for him today, we actually had a catch today, and he gave me like great advice on, you know, my breaking balls and all that stuff, and that's always great to hear. But when I say it's Quinn, it's just kind of like he has almost like a presence to him right now. I mean, for me, like obviously it's, you know, Quinn Priester, my teammate, so I try to act cool, but I'm not gonna act like literally a year ago I wasn't using his card and that would be the show. So I got to play it cool and act real, like tough around him. But I mean, he's like, obviously he knows what he's doing. You can tell he holds himself like a professional. It's another like Henry type vibe.
Yeah.
Like there's guys here that knocked it down like all of us. Like we're all working together, obviously. But there's just something different about Quinn with that when he's in the room on the field. Like the way you can just kind of see his mind thinking when he's doing plays and just having a catch with him today. Like you can see a difference in him. Where it almost you can tell where he has everything he's running through in his mind and knows what he has to do to be successful. So it's stuff like that that's almost like he doesn't have to say anything to you, but it's inspiring to see and know that you need to hold yourself in that way too as a professional. So
Did you tell him to use this card?
no.
We might tell him.
That's fine. That's fine.
He seems to walk that line between like being serious and like caring about his craft, but also like not being pretentious. Or,
Yeah,
he's
definitely.
not like over serious.
Definitely a really
Yeah.
cool dude.
Yeah.